So first things first, let us look at what it means to have a flexible mind. Let us start with the end in mind, as it were. This is essentially abstraction, all right? A flexible mind is an abstract mind. Abstract is just simply that which cannot be put in a box, right? This is why many of the terminologies that people use to define themselves end up undermining so many people. Some people go through life saying, I have this label, I have that label, I am this, I am that, I am useless, I am stupid, I am bipolar, I am ADHD. And it doesn't matter how a person feels. What does matter is the limitations and the boxes that people put themselves in. They say, I am defined by this label and by what this label means. And there is no opportunity for any wiggle room or any growth outside of this. And it's this one limiting outlook on life that ends up undermining people for anything up to an entire lifetime. We cannot afford to put ourselves in a box. All right, so let us not put ourselves in the box. Let us become abstract in our thinking and outlook on life as we strive to maintain an open mind, as we are open to new ideas and new perspectives. Now think about the attitude that many people take. Many people reject new ideas not because they're either right or wrong or accurate or inaccurate, but because they simply don't fit in alignment with their existing ways of fixed thinking. All right, abstraction isn't about agreeing or disagreeing. It's not about saying that's right, that's wrong, that's good or bad. It's about, wow, how might that be accurate? How could that be true? How might this information be relevant to my life in some way? All right, the abstract mind is the inquisitive mind. The fixed mind is the staunch, rigid, disinterested, apathic mind. With me? Make sense? So the abstract mind acknowledges that there are truths beyond that which I've experienced and that has been proven by scientific method. Now this is an interesting idea. Think about it. What does science do? Does science determine what truth is? Does science invent truth? What about the only truth that exists? Does truth only exist because it's been scientifically proven, or does science exist just to discover that which is already true? Right? Because many people operate in this mindset that unless something has been scientifically proven, then it's not true. It couldn't possibly be true. And this is the ultimate expression of rigidity and concrete thinking. It's a reflection of a closed mindset. The scientific method is open by nature, right? Hence a reason, like neuro-linguistic programming is a body of ideas. Some people say it's a pseudoscience. Some people say it's not a real psychology. Well, hang about. What is psychology? Psychology as a field of study is just an exploration, an investigation into human behaviour. Psychology seeks to understand human behaviour. It does so by asking questions. What does psychiatry do? Again, as I've mentioned, psychiatry has no interest in understanding people or human behaviour. It just wants to diagnose and label and define and put people in boxes so that it can sell its products and its services and grow and capitalise gain. Essentially make money. So people get to exist and get paid high salaries for dishing out labels. Terminologies that then undermine people for the extent of their lifetime. Psychology, we're here to understand human behaviour. Now, why do I say this? I say this because neuro-linguistic programming, to give you a little bit more historic context, but different perspectives, right? Behaviourism, cognitive psychology, humanism, the three main perspectives that have acted as a set of foundations for this body of ideas. Is it a pseudoscience? What? Psychology isn't a science. What's the difference between empirical science and non-empirical science? Well, the empirical sciences, just to give you a little bit more information here, just in case you're interested, would be the hard sciences. Hard sciences such as biology, such as physics, such as chemistry. They look at matter, which is matter of facts, right? Hard evidence, hard stats. So say for example, I'm very well versed, been teaching psychology for many years now, well, applied psychology anyway. So does me being trained, does me as an expert in applied psychology, am I qualified to diagnose physical illness? Say, for example, someone comes to me and they say, I have a sore head, or I have a fixed mindset, and I would say, hang about, let's have a 5-minute conversation. It's because you have a brain tumour. It's because you have bowel cancer. It's because you have leukemia. It's because you have this. It's because you have that. All right? Me speaking into other people's lives as a psychologist, defining physical illness or literally assigning physical conditions and illnesses onto people, diseases, is about as compassionless as what the psychiatrists are who assign mental health disorders onto people. Mental health disorders are just abstract concepts. They are not based upon hard empirical facts or science or evidence. It's kind of like God. Does God exist? What's your response? Some people are going to say, no, I don't believe God exists. I'm an atheist. Fantastic. Good for you. I'm agnostic. Good for you. I'm a Christian. Fantastic. Good for you. So whatever your answer is, how do you know that you're right? What proof have you got? What evidence? And when you ask people, for what evidence do you have for your abstract thinking, they'll very, very quickly then go to churn out a story that they've told a million times before that justifies their worldview or perspective. Anything based upon hard empirical facts or evidence that can be proven by scientific method. And the answer is no. In the same way, mental health disorder, can it be scientifically proven? No. Some people will say, but it has been scientifically proven. No, none of it has been. It was all invented by psychiatric method. Hard science looks to explore hard facts, hard evidence. All right? Abstraction is just well-informed guesswork at best. So the reason why I say this, all right, is because many people go through life agreeing or disagreeing or buying into some notions, not buying into others, and then they'll say things like, but it's been scientifically proven. By who? Which person have you had a conversation with that has done the research that you're basing your worldview or opinion on? More often than not, people just buy into and promote personal agendas, belief systems, worldviews that are appropriate for them, that are convenient for them. The truth isn't always convenient. In fact, the truth rarely is convenient. This is why many people don't like it. All right? So the flexible mind, the mind of abstraction, buys into this notion that there are truths beyond that which I've experienced and that has been proven by scientific method. There are truths out there that haven't made it into the scientific textbooks yet. All right? So how open are we? I strive not to make harsh assumptions. I strive not to determine what's right or wrong, good or bad, accurate or inaccurate, but instead I seek to understand, because seeking to understand is wise, it's mature. Defining what's right or wrong, good or bad, is just narrow-mindedness at best. I actively listen to understand people, because I want to understand people's perspective, because I understand that regardless of whether I subscribe to another person's perspective or not, I can certainly become clearer on what mine is. Thus, I benefit and grow through the process. I benefit and grow. Do you let people finish speaking before you judge them or make a conclusion? Do you? All right? Or are you more interested in defending and protecting your current frame of reference and your current outlook on life? All right? So, abstraction. Are you there yet? All right? Or have you got a little bit of a room for improvement? All right? Let's just see if we can establish what the facts are, shall we? Because this is what an inflexible mind looks like. The inflexible, concrete mind assumes that my perspective is the most important perspective. So, if I am inflexibly minded, see when we're having a conversation, I'm not interested in understanding you. I'm just interested in you hearing me. I'm not listening to respond to you. I'm just listening to you when you speak to identify the gap that I can intervene and dominate the conversation so that you hear me all over again. All right, this is essentially it. My perspective is the most important. I couldn't really care less what yours is. It's the mark of the inflexible mind. Have you ever taken this attitude? Have you ever known anyone to take this attitude towards you? Did you like it? Did it work? Do you think other people might like it when they experience this coming from you? Probably not. Is it worth changing? Is it worth becoming more abstract? You bet you. Of course it is. I must be right all of the time. Are you more interested in understanding? Or are you more interested in being right? Enough said. I am not interested in hearing anything that contradicts my opinions, my beliefs, or my current world views. If you want to see a prime example of this, look at some of the student debates that happen on a global scale these days. Some great thinkers such as Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, the Youth of America debates are fascinating to watch. I watch some of the young pimply-faced students, 17, 18, 19 years old, who've been in academia land for like 5 years, and they are 100% convinced they know it all. They know what's right and wrong. They decided through their wealth of life experience. So they end up engaging and debating with, hugely influential thinkers such as Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, to name but a few, great thought leaders today out there in the world. And they go on the automatic offensive, undermining the perspectives of men or women who are 20 or 30 years older and more experienced than them, all right, to justify and voice their opinion. Plato. Do you know who Plato was? He was a philosopher in the days of old, about 2,500 years ago. Ended up having an academy built around his name. He once had an opinion about opinions, right? He proposed that opinion stands in the gap between wisdom and complete ignorance. So, next time someone is voicing you their opinion, you get to decide whether it's ignorance-based or whether it's based upon truth and wisdom. Essentially, the decision that you make will be the decision that you conclude is true. Whether it is true or whether it's not true is again also by the by. We're getting quite abstract in our thinking here now, aren't we? I am meddling with your mind just a little bit because I want to help you grow. I want to create some new space inside of that noggin of yours for the ideas that I'm going to be proposing, especially throughout section 2 and section 3. So, I reject ideas that I disagree with or dislike. How many people do you know this? Do you do this? There's a pretty good chance that you know someone who does. I am offended when people, things don't meet my expectations, as all things must serve to appease me. Give you a great example, right? This time, was it last year, or whenever the Avengers movies came out. Do you remember? Have you seen them? They've been packaged up and defined as some of the largest, highest grossing movies in recent years. I think it was Avengers Endgame. And I'd been looking forward to going to see this all year. I quite like the superhero movies, right? Takes me back to my youth, to my childhood. So we'd ended up, my wife Karen and I had gone to see Avengers on I think it was a Friday night. And after around about 3 hours of mind-blowing action, I came out and here was me beating my chest saying, hoo-ha, I want to be Captain America all over again. And as I looked across the cinema exit hall, there was a couple of young people going, that was rubbish. That was rubbish. It's not what I was expecting. I was expecting something else. And obviously, with my background and foundations in applied psychology and being grounded in neuro-linguistic programming, what I was tempted to, go across and address these young men by saying, "Excuse me, young men," just to help you understand and appreciate that you are not entitled to having your expectations be met. Perhaps you might benefit more from life and your general experiences when you learn to appreciate things for what they are, not for what they're not. And this is essentially the basis for all disappointment in life. An interesting idea, may I just propose, that we do not and we cannot be disappointed by that which is in life. We only disturb and disappoint ourselves by setting and putting in place unrealistic, warped expectations. So if you've ever found yourself disappointed in a relationship or in a business or in any facet of your life, it wasn't the outcomes that disappointed you. The disappointment you experienced was on you through your poor management of expectations or your or the unrealistic expectations that you set. Interesting idea, all right? I shall let you agree with that one or disagree with it. The choice is entirely up to you. So, I would rather prove other people to be wrong than have my own personal worldview expanded. And this is essentially what happens when you get pimply-faced students debating. 17, 18, 19-year-olds, I think you're wrong, I disagree. All right, clearly 17, 18, 19-year-olds who know all that there is to know about life, have an opinion about absolutely everything, and absolutely no experience in anything else. So consider it, all right? Would you rather prove other people to be wrong than simply have your own worldview expanded? Would it be okay to have your worldview, your perspective enlarged, magnified, enhanced?